Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, yesterday you practiced these patterns, huh? So, it's not finished. Patterns, we learned one simple part of patterns in HTML. We will learn about more working with patterns in JavaScript. There, you will learn some more queries, expression, interactions, and all. What is enough for HTML, we discussed here. Later, we will use patterns with JavaScript combination. There you will learn. Right? Now, we discussed about the form elements. We have text box element. We have a password element. We have a number element. Right? So, these three elements we learned up to now. Text box with all properties and attributes. Password is same, but it is used for password input. It will mask the characters. Number is not for any alphabet values. Number will restrict only numeric values. Now, number I showed you, we have range. So number range, we can define minimum, maximum value. We can also give a step value, how much it can change step value. That is all number. Next important in form elements, we have similar to number range input. We have a range input. So it is similar to a number input, but will display a slider to select values. It is similar to number input, but will display a slider to select values. You will have a slider instead of number up down. So actually it is defined all attributes are same as number input. Just syntactically we define like this: input type is equal to range, and here we have to define so min, max, your wish, anything you can give, 100, 10,000, 20,000, anything. Here value, and here we have like step. These are all same options. ID, name, class, all are same. Just only the difference is you will have a slider, right? And these sliders are very common. You see, suppose websites, some Flipkart, yeah. In this Flipkart website, I select some mobiles, and in the mobiles you see this is slider. This is range, input type range. But these are using Bootstrap. Additionally, they are using Bootstrap. With Bootstrap, you can have a lot of effects, right? It is using Bootstrap actually. There are so many other type of sliders you will find here. Where is it? Other ranges. Here all check boxes are there. All are check boxes here. Let me show you HDFC Bank. Some loan calculators. Yeah, and here you can see in this, these are all sliders. This is slider. This is slider. We can design only these. We cannot give functionality. Functionality with JavaScript we have to do. We can design it. We cannot make it work, right? So sliders we can configure in this way. Suppose you see, let's go to the project, and here go to shopping. Yeah. Now in this, what you have to do is, yes, let's close. Yeah. In this register form, so temporarily just I am adding, yeah, interest rate we created yesterday. It is, yeah, it is having a numeric up down. It is having a numeric up down. We can enter a number and select here. Now I will change that from type number to range. Rest of options are same, no change, same like number. Then when I change to input type range, so it will be in this way. We want this slider from the beginning, because actually minimum is 13, then value also I will give 13. That means it will start from 13. You can move this, but it is not showing the value. That you have to do with JavaScript. In HTML, value will come when you submit. When I submit, then the value will come. It rate is 14. I am selecting here and submit, and it says rate is 16. Right? We can submit the values here depending on how much you give. So thousands, lakhs, so many you can define here. But what you have seen in this website, when user is sliding, you see the number is changing in text box. That is JavaScript. Through JavaScript, we write logic like that. And this text also not a part of this slider. They are kept below using columns. You have to arrange them, right? That means this is only slider. Slider also colors different. With the Bootstrap, we can change appearance a lot. So sliders, you can just design. We cannot make them functional. To make them functional, to make in a better way. And even sometimes people ask, I want to rotate vertical. Vertical, you have to do with CSS. CSS allows you to rotate and keep in any direction you want. So only the point is, everything same like number, but instead of numeric up down, it will give a range. That is option. That is simple range input, how we can define. Next important, in the input, we have a email input. Email input is nothing but it validates email address. It validates email address. That means it is a special control which is only for emails. If you enter anything other than proper email, it will show invalid. That is default validations will be there. And already I told you in the previous session how we can bypass validation. If we don't want validations, we can use no validate, right? So all are same. So syntactically here we have to define input type is equal to email. All attributes are same like text box, right? That means placeholder, autofocus, everything similar. Only the one additional is email validation automatically works for it, right? So what you have to do, you have to just put it here. We'll change this. And here I will say your email. And here we are adding input type is equal to email. That's it. So name is equal to email. So you can see now we have an email. Here I am entering some name and click on submit. It will not allow. It says that as per email standards, you must have a and when you are using some gmail.com, something like this, now it will allow to submit the value. Anything is not defined with it will not allow that. So this is basically validating the email address, allowing emails and validating the email address that you can define by using email input. Next important, it's simple, nothing else other than that. One more, we have URL input also. It validates so standard URL format. It validates standard URL format. URL format means it will verify that exactly you are typing a correct URL style. URL means actually URL format must have protocol, then so address. It should have protocol and address. If you miss it, it will not work. That means you have to correctly define in a URL format. So what we have to do syntactically, we have to just use input type as URL. That's it. So here we are using another format. Here you say your website, and here we are using URL, and here I am typing URL name, and this is website. I am typing www.amazon.in. It is a website address only, but it is invalid because protocol is compulsory, http:// and we need to configure the protocol, then it will display in a correct way, right? So this is basically how the URL is verified. We have simple validations here: range input, email input, and URL. You have another option that is color input. So it can display a color panel. So you can pick and select a color. That is simply by using color input you can do. Just we have to use input type is equal to color. We have another color input. Color input will give a color panel so that you can choose any color from the list. So for example, here we are designing. So some here we create a figure, and we have .. public in that images. In images, we have some jacket.jpg width and height. And here we have a fig caption. And here we given input type is equal to color. Input type color. And you can see here, it will display like this. And we are not using any JavaScript. Color will change for photo now, right? That both are different. We just designed a color picker. Whatever color is selected here, then user can select a color, and that color can be applied to this using JavaScript. We can do it. So, but this is a special color picker. You can choose any color and you can select a color. That color is used. But accessing the color name, applying to some other elements, that requires all JavaScript. So this color picker, suppose by default you can see it is showing you this black. suppose by default I want some another color. Hash FF00 FF00. This is the color code for red. It will display. We have to use the hexa code for values. Then by default, which color you want, you can display. Suppose I want a blue, then this is R, this is second G, and this is blue. And we are applying that blue. Hexa can be 3 characters or 6 characters. So I give an F00. This is 3 character hexa code, and a 3 character hexa code is not working. That means you have to use only 6 character hexa code for default value. So if you want to put any default value, you can set any default color value by using 6 characters hexa code, 6 character hexa code, which is hash RRGGBB, red, green, and blue. That means syntactically we need to define input type is equal to color, and value is equal to, we have to define the color value what we want. That's how we need to define the default. So this is color input. So we have specialized generic input controls here: passwords, numbers, and colors, range selectors, another email URLs. These are specialized. Earlier we don't have them. Earlier in HTML only 2 types of text boxes were there. Only input type text or input type password. Others are newly added into HTML from version 5. From HTML5 version, we have number, email, colors, and all these. But one more problem also will be there. These specialized elements sometimes will not run on various browsers. Then we have to depend on manual designs. Through jQuery, JavaScript, we have to manually design color pickers, and we have to use them. We can't depend on, because old version browsers, they don't support all these new types. Old version browsers, they support only the type text and type password. So the new version browsers only supports all these. Otherwise, you cannot see the output in the same way how we design, right? That is color. Next, important, in the input, we have another is date input. Date and time input. You will say date and time input. Actually, for date and time input, you have a special control. That means it allows to pick a date and a time. It allows to pick a date and time. So a date picker will come. Date and time pickers will be displayed. So actually, HTML provides various types for date and time. We have types like date, we have like time, we have like date time local. So we have options like month, so, and we have like year. These are the options. We also have week, so week. But some options are not available anymore. Some are removed. Some old features are removed here. Date can have so many things now. You can have date, you can have time, you can have date, time, local. So actually, if you want to display the date, so this is the color, and I will copy this form. This is the example for this color. Okay, that example I am giving there. For date time, suppose we are creating a form, and in the form we are designing departure, and we need a input type is equal to date. We are using date. You can see input type date will show a date picker like this. So you can click on this and you can select a date from the calendar. You can choose the years, you can choose the month, you can select the dates, and it will display the date there. It allows you to pick a date and select any date. Now you have another option. You can have a time. So time will give a time picker. You can select a time. You can choose the time and you can select the time. It will display the time. You can have date, time, local. Date, time, local. Date, time, local will give both date and time. It will display both date and time. You can choose the date, you can choose the time, it will display that. So those options will be added. We have even the options like month. We can use this month. It will allow you to select a month here. You can also have a week. So week, that means it will allow you to select entire week of that particular year. Current week is 36th week. You can select entire week, date will be selected. These are just only selections. After selecting, we have to collect this and we have to do manipulations based on this. That is all JavaScript. Here HTML is just designing. It is just design. So we have these all options related to date. So here one important is you have to know is you cannot select range of dates. You cannot select range of dates. It's not possible here. Date is only one. You cannot select range of dates. So you can select range of dates in some websites. Those are not HTML dates. They are designed by using various other third parties. By using third parties, we design dates. Third parties means we don't even have date in Bootstrap. You have jQuery. jQuery plugins will be there. By using them, we design such dates. So that is the reason in some websites you will see they will show departure date, one control, return date, another control, two calendars they will give. Some websites they will ask select the start date and end date. It is not possible in HTML date. HTML date will not allow the range of dates to select. HTML date will allow only to select a single date value. Range of dates we have to design by using third parties. So many third parties will be there. In real world, so many third parties will be there. If you remember, I told you we have a third party like Telerik. This is Telerik is one third party. Telerik is very popular third party. And it is used for UI development. And they are not free. You have to pay money. You have to purchase elements. That means you want an element, you have to purchase and use it. Generally, real world software companies will purchase. Because everything, remember, any technology you are learning, Any technology in the world is not complete in fulfilling all the requirements of client. Not possible. There is no technology in the world which can fulfill all the requirements of clients. For example, you are a software engineer. You learned some technology, and suppose a supermarket people came to you and asked you to build a supermarket app for managing supermarket business. They asked you to build an app. You are a Java developer or a .NET developer or something else. Now, which technology we will choose to build an app for them? How our company decides that this technology should be used for designing app? How they will decide? How a technology is decided by any company? How they do that? Actually, to do that depends on the technology, and to do that, actually, we prepare in software companies, we prepare one table. That table contains as is and to be and a gap. We design a table like this. In our real world projects, we design as is, to be, gaps like this. Now here, as is means what your technology is capable of. What your technology is capable of means what your technology provides. What is the capacity of your technology? And to be means what client wants. Gap means what client wants and your technology don't have it. That is gap. We call this as gap. So that means every technology have gaps. For example, anybody learned Java, .NET, Python, some technology. Now, if I ask a question like, okay, you learned Java, do you know how to write a program to generate a barcode in Java? 100% all Java people say, I don't know. Because they will never learn in Java how to write a program to generate barcode. They will never learn any program in Java or .NET how to read barcode. Nobody learns that. Then how you will build an app for supermarket? For supermarket, everything works on barcodes only. Right? For every product, barcode will be there. At billing system, barcode reader will be there. And that software should read the barcode and show the product details on screen. Then how you will build? You are a Java developer, you don't know how to write code for barcode, then what is the point? So here, the concept here is, that means now generating barcodes, creating barcodes, QR codes, every technology is not having internally anything. They have to depend on third party. They have to depend on third parties. That means every technology have gaps. Every technology have gaps. And the concept is how to fill the gaps. That means, for example, Java is having 30% gaps. .NET is having 20% gaps. PHP is having 2% gaps. Then our company decides that use PHP. Right? Not Java, .NET like that. Right? So remember, in software technologies, anybody says Java is great, .NET is great, it is trending, he is the biggest fool in the world. That means he is an software illiterate. Software illiterates only will tell this technology is good, this technology is great, other technologies are nothing because I am learning it. Whatever technology you are learning, it is great for you. After all, software illiterates will talk like this. My technology is great. This is trending technology, right? The point here is that means, what do you say? In Infosys, Wipro, TCS, only Java developers are there. Huh? Nobody else in the world. Foolish thing that is complete illiterates of software. These people are. That means you have Java developers, you have .NET developers, you have PHP developers, you have Python developers. Why a company is having so many developers? If one technology is great, if it is trending, then only that technology developer must be there in the company. Why all are there? You will have a Java team, you will have a .NET team in every company, right? That means a company deals with a lot of projects, and every project have different requirements. One technology cannot satisfy. They have to use the technology which fills the lot of gaps. How to fill up the rest of this gap? Suppose I am using PHP, 2% gaps are there. How to fill those 2% gaps? We have to fill by using third party. Third party is like Telerik is a third party. These people sell library. These people will sell. Our companies will purchase them. You see, Telerik, these are the customers of Telerik. NASA is customer of Telerik. Visa is customer of Telerik. Microsoft is customer of Telerik. If you say that I don't know Telerik, I never heard Telerik, don't care about you. Who are you after all? They are providing support for NASA. You say, I never heard Telerik, I don't know Telerik. Telerik don't care about you, right? After all, right? They are providing support for NASA. They are providing support for Microsoft. That means software companies, professionals knows these third parties. That means our companies purchase them. We have to use them. That means what you learned in HTML as UI design is not enough. You have to work with a lot of UI designs which you never learned anywhere. You can't even get in Google. You will not get in Google help also, because they are specially designed by some third parties. We have to purchase and use them. They are not freely available. And only those people will help us. They will provide official help how to use it. You see, in this Telerik, I will go to demos. In the demos, you can see lot of technology. All technology demos are there. Angular, jQuery, .NET, JSP, PHP, everything will be there. Now I will suppose go to jQuery demos. You see lot of controls will be there. You see, these are all the controls. These are all the controls. These are all controls. Now what you have to do is, you have to use them according to requirement. That means you see, I showed you barcode, QR codes. All are provided to you. These are not provided by HTML. Not even other technologies also. Every technology have to use third parties, right? Then you have to purchase this and use it. You see, this is pricing. You can see that this is having some pricing. You see pricing, this is very costly. That means you see, so $1,200 per developer. Per developer, $1,200. That means even this is too costly. Our companies will purchase this. Why? Because to develop good interface, we need all these third parties. Some third parties are free, but they are not enough. That is the reason we purchase and use them. We will not ask our developers to design because it is waste of time. You saw Microsoft is also customer of Telric. Microsoft is also customer of Telric. Microsoft itself is a software development company. It have a lot of softwares. Can't it design a barcode? Can't it design a simple barcode? Microsoft, they are borrowing from Telric. That means obviously they will not do. Why? Because suppose you are purchasing a mobile, Samsung. In that Samsung mobile, the camera used is not Samsung. The lens of camera is not Samsung. You know that, right? Then what is Samsung? Only that box name. That means the camera lens used in that Samsung is some Carl Jesus lens. Carl Jesus lens. These are very popularly used lens for cameras. Right? That means now you cannot ask why you are using lens of Carl Jesus company. Why you cannot design your own lens? Already, then Samsung says that already we have a lot of business to do. Already we have a lot of work to do. And handling one more business is a risk for us. So already somebody is doing it and he is good in it. We will allow him to do it and we will purchase from him. What is that? That means more than 200 parts in an iPhone doesn't belong to Apple. You know? Right? In an iPhone, more than 200 parts in iPhone doesn't belong to Apple. They belong to different companies. But brand is iPhone. That is, you cannot ask why iPhone you build everything, every part you design. They can't design because their business is enough with that. So we will not disturb other business. We will allow them to do their work. We will borrow them and use them. Borrow and use them. That is what we have to do. So in HTML, later you will learn how to use third parties. How to use third parties. Currently, we have to use only what is available in HTML. And in HTML, date will not have a range picker. You cannot select range. You can select only specific date. If you want such a range picker, then you have to depend on third parties. I will show those third parties in next level. We will see that, how to use them. So another point is, you cannot select range, but you can restrict. You can restrict date range. You can restrict date range. You cannot select date range, but you can restrict date range. For example, first here, I will give a general syntax. It is input type is equal to date. This allows to select any date. Any date. If you want to restrict the dates, then what you can do is, so you can use the syntax like this. You can define input type is equal to date, and we can use min and max. By using min and max, we can restrict the date, minimum and maximum. But here again, important point is, when you are defining minimum and maximum date, it must be in year, month, and day format. Compulsory. Anything else not allowed. That means the format must be in year, month, day. Year, month, day. There is no question of can I change? You can't change. You cannot change the way how it inputs. You can change the way how it shows. How date is shown to user, you can change. You can put anywhere you want. But how it takes the date, you cannot change. It is standard. Always date must be entered. In which format? Year, month, day. As a developer, as a user, for user, we will change. For user, we will change in his convenient way. He will select month, day, year, while displaying your wish. How user wants, we can show in that way. First month or first day, first weekday, your wish. But while taking the dates, restricting the dates, it must be in year, month, day format. So here you see, currently I defined date. And you can see in this date, user can select any date. User can choose any date. But I want user, you can see, I will go to the next month, October. User can select any other date also. User can go previous also, August. User can select any date. I want to restrict only the current month from today. So from 8 to from 24, others not allowed. Then you have to put the option like this. You have to use min. Min is equal to year is 2022. And month is 09 and day is 08. That is year, month, day. And what is the max? 2022, and it is 09 month and 24 like this. Now you can see that here in the dates, it will allow only those. See, previous dates are not selectable here. What is it? Some problem. Year, month, day. Year hyphen. Year, month, day. Yeah. So you can see now only these dates are allowed. Others are not allowed. I cannot choose any previous date. You cannot choose any previous date here. I can choose only date. See, previous are not allowed here. Previous are not allowed. Next also not allowed. You can see other months are disabled. Right? Other years are disabled. You can choose only the dates within that specified range. You can select only that. So you can set the range in this way. So year, month, and day. So we can restrict the dates. We can restrict the date by using this. Right? So that is minimum and maximum how you define for date. So date range, this is an example for that. So while working with the date, these are important options. So how we enable date, how we enable time, how we enable date and time, how user can select only month or only year, or user can even select up to specific range of dates, restriction for the dates. Only one drawback is you cannot select range. That means start date, end date, range you cannot select. So for that, we need to depend on third parties to design and use such options. Okay. This is date input, how you can configure the date. Right. Next, important, after understanding, any other format not allowed. Right. So for example, suppose here I am writing like 08, 09, 2022, like this I defined here. You see it is not working. It allows you to select any date. Right? The format must be in which one? Year, month, day. That is the format you have to use. Any another format, it is not allowed. Right? So this is validating and verifying the date input. Right? Next, another in the input, you have a file input. File input. So it is used to browse and select a file from a client device. from client device. It is used to browse and select a file from client device. You can design a file, browse and select. Remember, don't think that it is to upload files. It is not uploading, it is only selecting. Only selecting. Uploading you can't do in HTML. That means to upload a file, first we have to select a file. That selection is given by this. Uploading is not that, right? Uploading is different. So here you see, suppose I given an option like your photo. And here I defined input type is equal to file. And you can see input type file by default gives like this. That means choose file, and I can select any file from my computer. Suppose I am choosing any file here, and these are all the files we have. Some, yeah, these are all the files. I am selecting any file here, and when I select a file, and that file opens here, you cannot show its preview. And don't think that it is uploaded now. It is not uploaded. It is just selected. It is just selected. Where it will upload, you have to write lot of logic for this. That means uploading is done. Uploading is done by writing lot of logic for this. This is not file uploading control. This is only file selecting control. This is only the file selection control, not uploading control. That means you can only select the file. Only select the file. That is the reason many times people ask, like, can I restrict file type? Can I restrict file type? File type means user can upload only PDF. User can upload only JPG. You cannot restrict file type. You cannot restrict file type. You can set filters for file type, but you cannot restrict file type. File type restriction is not done in HTML. File type restriction is done in JavaScript and server-side technology. Not here. File type restriction, file size restriction, these are not done in HTML. These are done in JavaScript and backend technologies. That means you have to upload only JPG files. You have to upload only PDF files that we can control only in JavaScript and jQuery or backend technology. You have to upload only 10 MB or 5 MB, 4 MB. That is also not in HTML. HTML is just a selector control. You can put filters actually. So you define like this: input type is equal to file. We can put filters. You can set filters for browsing. You can set filters for browsing, but cannot restrict. You can set filters for browsing, but you cannot restrict. That means set filters for browsing means how to set filter for browsing. To set filter for browsing, actually, we have to use one simple option. We have to use input type is equal to file, and you can say accept. By using accept, you can set filter. What to accept? .jpg files. You can put the filter in this way. That means it will set only filter. Remember, filter is not restriction. It can be changed anytime. By default, it will show JPG. If you want, you can change. That means you see now, suppose as of now here, when I click the browse, here lot of files are present, lot of files, Word documents and PDF documents, everything is present, PowerPoint, JPG, all. I want only PDF files. I want only PDF files. So currently you see here it is showing all files. It is displaying all files. So what you have to do here, we have to just use accept. Accept, we have to define .pdf. I'm using PDF. I'm using PDF, and you can see now when I click on browse, you can see only Acrobat Reader document. It will show that, it will set that filter there. That means in the list, you can select only PDF files here. These are only PDF files. Only PDF files are present here. Only PDF files you can choose here. Only PDF. But observe carefully, I click in the filter, I select all files. Again, all files will come. Then what is it? It is not restricting. It is not restricting. It is just only filtering. Only filtering. It is not restricting. That means restriction we don't do in HTML and you can't do in HTML. Restriction is after the file is submitted, we will verify is it JPG or PNG or PDF. We write a logic for that. And if it is not JPG, we reject. If it is JPG, we will allow. That is done through logic, not through these controls. These controls can set filters. Multiple also you can keep. Multiple means you can write like PDF and comma. If I use dot, suppose PNG, dot PNG. Now I click choose file. And you can see here it is saying custom files now because multiple filters are there. What are those multiple filters? You can see PDF and PNG files here. These all are PDF and PNG files. Other files are not there. But anyhow, you can click and select all files. Again, all files will come. That means we can put filters, but filter can be changed. You can set filters for browsing, but cannot restrict. So you can put multiple. You can put comma, asterisk dot PDF like this. Only those files will by default come. If you want later, you can change, right? Another point is by default, you can select only one file. By default, you can select only one file. So if you want multiple files to select, then define the attribute. You have to define the attribute. You have to define the attribute. The attribute is multiple. That is the attribute you have to give. By default, you can select only one file. You see here, I click choose file. I am selecting this file. So some file Angular framework. I selected it. I want to select another file. You know, to select another file, we have to use control key, shift keys. I am using control key, clicking on second. It's not working. Only one is working. Only one is working because by default it allows only one. But if you can put the attribute as multiple, then automatically you can see here, choose files now. The word changes. And here I can select multiple files. You can observe automatically a checkbox will come. This you can select, this you can select. We can select multiple files. So random, anything we want, we can select and click on open. 3 files selected. When you submit, the 3 file names are submitted. But it is not uploading. It is just only selecting the files, right? That you can manage by using multiple. You have to use attribute multiple. So syntactically, you have to define input type is equal to file, and it is multiple, and it is accept some .jpg, something like this. That's how we have to define. So how we can design a file selector. How we can define a file selector? So input have a lot of things now. Several new concepts of input are available here. So we have input number, we have input range, input email, input URL, input color, and input files. How we can deal with the files. Next, important in the input elements, we have another important input element, that is radio buttons. We have another important radio buttons. We have another option called radio buttons. Here some technical point is there to understand. Actually, radio buttons, radio button allows to select one or multiple options from a group of choices. If I give this sentence, many people who don't know proper technology, they will immediately object this line. They will say that, sir, I learned that radio buttons are used for selecting only one option. Then if you learned whatever you learned, I will prove wrong now. If you learn that radio buttons are used to select only one option, I will now prove it wrong. That is not the correct definition about radio, actually. Let's prove that wrong here. See, actually, if you ask what is radio button purpose, many people will give you answer, radio buttons are used for selecting one option. But radio buttons are used for selecting one or multiple. You can select one or multiple, right? For example, you see, suppose I'm giving here a field set. So with a legend, we will say choose gender. And here I'm giving input type is equal to radio. Radio, we will give here male. And we have another input type is radio. This is another radio. Here we say female. Now you can see these are the two radio buttons we have, male and female. And you can see I am selecting male and I am selecting female. Both are working. So if anybody says radio buttons are used to select one, we dumped his definition. Right? We proved him wrong. That means all these days what you know about radio button is not technically correct. So radio button is selecting more than one. Right? So then what is the point here, the concept here? Radio buttons allows to select one or multiple options. You can select one or more. But problem is radio button once checked cannot be unchecked. That is the biggest drawback of radio. Radios once checked, they cannot be unchecked. You cannot deselect them. Once selected, they cannot deselect. That means you see this radio button, I want to deselect female. I want to deselect female and I am clicking on this and it is not deselecting. I want to deselect male. It is not deselecting. Radios cannot uncheck. Radios cannot uncheck. Why? Because actually what happens is, suppose generally we have here a process. Generally this is process. Now we have two tasks. That means this is task 1 and this is task 2. Two tasks are present. Now this task 1 is sent into the process. Task 1 is sent into the process. Once it goes into the process, it will stuck in the process. It will not come out. Once it goes into the process, it stucks in the process. It cannot come out. So to send it out, we have to restart the process. There is no chance it cannot come out. You have to restart the process only. That is the only way. That means I will restart, means refresh the page, then it is gone. I selected male, I want to deselect. You can never deselect it. It is not possible. Once it goes into process, it cannot come out of the process. That is the problem with radio. Then what we do is, we handle a technique. What we do is, radios are used with mutex mechanism. They are used with mutex mechanism. Mutex means mutual exclusion. Mutex is a concept of multi-threading. In software technologies, you will learn about a concept called multi-threading. In .NET, Java, and other high-level languages, you will learn multi-threading. In multi-threading, you will come across with a concept called mutex. All web applications are multi-threaded. All web applications use multi-thread. Of course, many applications are multi-threaded. Multi-thread means at a time, so many tasks are performed. Suppose if I ask, like, I opened a calculator, or I opened, suppose, MS Paint or something else we opened. So we have a calculator. If I ask how many tasks a calculator can do at a time, as a software developer, you can go to Control Alt Delete, Task Manager. In the Task Manager, you can go to Details category. In the Details category, you will find here these menus are there. I mean, tabs. Right click on tabs, select columns. In the select columns, make sure that you selected a column called threads. If you select threads column, then you can see there is a threads option, and you can see calculator is using 24 threads. That means it is doing 24 tasks at a time. What are those 24 tasks? The person who designed that calculator, he knows, not you. The people who designed that calculator, he knows that what are those 24 tasks working for calculator in the background. That means it is using calculator app is using now currently 19 threads. Some threads gone, depending on what activity you are doing on it. If you are doing some more activities on calculator, some more threads will increase. And remember, every application is not multi-threaded. For example, you see, I open command prompt. This is command prompt. In this command prompt, how many tasks I can do at a time? Only one. That is single threaded. This is single threaded. You can see in the tasks now, the command prompt will be there. So the command prompt in the list. Yeah. So where is it? Host command prompt is there. Yeah. This is command.exe. It is doing only one thread. This is the Windows command prompt. How many tasks it is performing? Only one. It is single threaded. So the point here is, in multi-threading, we have a concept called mutex, mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion means, now see what happens. So this is second task. Second task means this is second radio button. I selected second radio button. This also go and stuck in the process. That means now these two tasks are stuck in the process. Am I right? They are not coming out. That is what happening here. This is also struck now. That means both are not coming out. Then what we do is, to handle this situation, generally what we do is, we tie these two tasks. We will tie these two tasks to one thread. We will tie those two tasks to one thread. If we can tie these two tasks to one thread, then they exhibit mutex. Mutex means mutual exclusion. That means one thread can allow only one task at a time. So what will happen now? This task will go into process and it is working here. Can it come out? It can never come out. It cannot come out. It will be in the process only. Now, second task you sent into process. Both belongs to same thread. Na? Then when second task goes into process, this task is kicked out of the process. This is called mutual exclusion, mutex. By default, it will not work. By default, it will not work. We have to tie the two tasks to one thread. How we can tie these two tasks to one thread, these two radios to one thread? By using a same name. The name is gender, and here also name as gender. That means both belongs to one thread now. If both belongs to one thread, now they will exhibit mutex. Exhibit mutex. Now you can see now, I will refresh here and I will select male. It's selected. I selected female. The male will be deselected. And I again selected male. Female will be deselected. But both cannot be deselected. Only one will be in the process. Both cannot be deselected. If both have to be deselected, you have to refresh. Refresh, then it will deselect. Now radios are exhibiting mutex, and radios are good with mutex. Right? Without mutex, it is useless to use radios. You cannot use radios without mutex. Even if you use, it's not good. If anybody says radios are used to select only one option, that is only if they are exhibiting mutex. Radios can select only one option only when they exhibit mutex. How they can exhibit mutex? By having a same name. By having same name. Right? If they are not exhibiting mutex, you can select more than one also. Right? Can I use radios to select more than one? Yes. But it is not recommended because you cannot deselect them. That is the reason we can use mutex. Mutex is not only for 2. It can be 10, 100, 1,000, anything. Out of all, only one will be in the process. In the process. So to exhibit mutex, to enable mutex, you have to define a common name for radios in a group. For radios in a group. That means one group, one name, another group, another name, because there can be several groups. Like we have payment methods, like we have gender. Gender is separate from payment methods. Payment methods will run in one thread, gender will run in another thread. So that means user can select any one. So here I am defining this one. This is the example of syntax. You have to write like this. So we have to define input type is equal to radio and name is equal to gender. And here you can give the text. Similarly, you can have input type is equal to radio and name is equal to gender, same, and here female. If you give a different name, both are independent again. That means you can select both. So in which situation we have to use this? Actually, radios have one more option. You can make any radio you can make any radio selected by default by using checked attribute. By using checked attribute, you have to use checked attribute. That means input type is equal to radio, name is equal to gender, and we can write checked. Then it is male. You cannot give both checked. So if you give both checked, it will work for only the last one that you have applied. It will not work for all. So it must be checked only for one. That means checked means by default one. So you see here, I am writing, what is it? So one radio must be selected. One radio must be selected. Then we will use an option checked. When you use option checked, one is selected. So when to use radio buttons? If selection is compulsory, without choosing any option, they can't go, then better use radios. Because they can't deselect. By default, we will select one. If they want, they can change. If they don't change, default one will be used. There is no chance of ignoring this option. Selecting this option is compulsory now. Because they can't deselect. Even I refresh, it will not deselect. Because we kept checked. That means even you refresh, by default one is selected. So if selection is compulsory, without selection they can't go forward, then use radios. And any one can be selected. Then that is radios option you can define. But any one depends on whether you given mutex or not. How to enable mutex? This is one option. One more important point is there. Actually, what happens is, you should know that by default, this is also very much asked in interviews regularly. Actually, you should know that by default, so every radio by default submits on as value. Every radio button by default submit on and value as value. That means if you submit a radio button, it will not tell you selected male or female. It will show on. Then that is not satisfying. So hence every radio must have a reference value. It must have a reference value. Otherwise, you can't know which radio selected. For example, you see now, I'm giving this here. There is no value. Observe now, I am selecting male or female, male, and click on submit. It says gender on. Which gender on? Not sure. That means I selected female and say submit, here also on. This is very important. That is the reason every radio must have a reference value. That means every radio, this radio value is male. This radio value is female. Otherwise, you cannot recognize. That means now I selected here male and submit, it will submit male. I selected female and submit, it will say gender as female. So every radio must have a reference name. This is another form related option, copy. That is how we can use radio. This is example for radio. How do we define name and how we define the values? So radio's purpose is this. Now similarly, we have checkbox, list box, and some others that we will see in next session. Right? Tomorrow we will continue with that. So tomorrow we will finish forms concept. And once we finish this forms concept, now we will try some real world forms. We will take some website examples and we will try to design those website forms according to how they are having in their website. Then we will get complete perfection on forms concept, right? That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay.